Hey everybody. God, it looks so shiny. Happy Mother's Day to all who are watching, who are mothers out there. Uh yeah, I just came back from hanging out with my mother, took her out to lunch. Just got back and wanted to get to jump on two back-to-back movies for the month of May for Mother's Day. And we'll be covering Bad Moms and Bad Moms Christmas, which is the sequel. Both starring Mila Kunis, Christian Bale, and Catherine Hahn. And yeah, it's I don't think I actually, I think these would have been the first time me even like sitting down and watching these films. And yeah, there's gonna be two separate videos, obviously, but we're gonna start off with the first one, Bad Moms. And despite the title, I thought it was like a decent twist. Roughly raunchy, not as far as like something like The Hangover or something like. Well, it's not too dissimilar to the level of comedy like The Hangover, but yeah, it's like women allowing to be goofy and raunchy as well as any of the multitude of guy movies that we had in for since forever. So yeah, like I said, Mila Kunis playing Amy Mitchell, Christian Bale as Kiki, and Catherine Hahn as Carla Dunkler. We also have Christina Applegate as the main antagonist in this sort of antagonist in the film, Gwendolyn James. You got Jada Pickett Smith, ooh, as Stacy. Uh, yeah, so I mean that was like the major players. We also got like a special guest, like not cameos per se, but just like other people like Wanda Sykes as Dr. Elizabeth Carl and J.J. Watt as Coach Craig. Oh, and Wendell Pierce as the principal. So, we can get of course, Martha Stewart. Don't want to forget Martha Stewart playing herself. But like, a fair bit of like, uh, cool, actors and actresses involved in this. And I gotta say, I fairly enjoyed the Bad Moms films. I thought I probably wouldn't. I thought at the most I thought like, oh, it's probably just gonna be like an okay flick. I'm, probably won't return to it anytime soon. But it's like the same level as like The Hangover. Like I thought, like what, I wouldn't mind rewatching these films. It's like what, fairly, they're fairly okay. I laugh. I had a good time. But basically, Mila Kunis plays as Amy is kind of like overworked, which is kind of typical. Like overworked. Uh, mom, living in like Chicago suburbs, working as like some kind of like what's the proper title to this? A sales rep for a coffee company. And as soon as like I heard that, I was like, God, this sounds like a lame ass Christmas Hallmark movie. Like, the businesswoman at a sales businesswoman at a sales rep coffee company in the big city. That kind of thing. She goes to the small town in West Virginia and meets a handsome handyman. Can they make it work? That kind of thing. That's like a typical title, like a job title for like like a big business woman in a Hallmark Christmas movie. That's how it usually goes at the beginning. But she, she's married. She has like a boy and a girl, and this one was like 32 when she had her children when she was 20. And she pretty much like a shotgun wedding, so she only had like this one guy throughout her life. And so she pretty much like, super mom. She's like, she does like, she, takes care of the dogs, takes care of like the house, the children. Every morning she's like, make sure the kids are eating like healthy foods and they're all snacks. They doing their homework. She made this big old Nixon paper mache thing for her son for some kind of class project. And like, are they learning about the presidents? Or I don't know what the syllabus was for this kind of project, but she brings this. Says she put all this together. She's also a member of the PTA, led by Christina Applegate's character, Gwendolyn James. I gotta say, Christina Applegate, I remember her as Kelly from, Married with Children. She still got it, man. Oh my God. And like, I don't know, just the freckles. Maybe because something got to do with the combination of the freckles and the color of her eyes and the blonde hair, like all that in combination. Just, I don't know. It's just like she is stunning of a woman. And like she really done, I'm surprised Christina Applegate ain't reached the heights of like Angelina Jolie as far as stardom, because like she's an impressive actress, and it's like I really want her to do more stuff. She is very funny. She is very funny and a very talented actress. I really want Christina Applegate to just, get more roles, because she is very, very good. But she, it's like one of those like it's like Mean Girls. Like she had her little clique. She got like, Jada. She got Jada as a and there's Stacy and this other woman. Oh, they always like, she's like the curly out of the, they're like the Three Stooges, but she, this other woman in the clique seems like very kind of slow on the uptake. She's pretty much like the Curly Howard of the group. And she says, Gwendolyn says something and like she repeats it and is like, I just said that. Like, I swear to God. Like, and then there's another part. It's like, why do we hang out with you? it just cracks me up. It's like these three is honestly, it's just like, they are a hell of a pair or triplets, whatever, hell of a group. But when dinner time, when she gets to work, Amy is like, surrounded by a bunch of, it's obviously meant to be looked like this, but it's like some douchey 20-somethings, that's like, it's like ironically she's like only in her early 30s, but she's surrounded by mid 20-somethings, and they are like playing ping pong and like barely seem like they're doing crap. It's like one of those like, it's like you go to those colleges and they got like, people working on beanbag chairs and not working, making beanbag chairs. I mean, like sitting on beanbag chairs and like on their little iPads and working on stuff because they're the cool, hip coffee company. And it's like, I just want to punch half of them in the fucking face. She, and the boss there is like, it's the kid who like was on, was like the youngest out of the group in Hot Tub Time Machine. He's like the boss there. But they get her to do pretty much the bulk of the work. And it's like, oh, God, you can tell this woman's like being pulled in all different directions. And when she gets home, she still also has to, cook the dinner. And like, she comes home and like her husband, seems like a just a complete tool that, is like, doesn't seem like, it's hard to say like he's like a work from home. It's like, oh, I made some few calls at home, just killing it, blah, blah, blah. Like, God, it's like, ugh. God is like, just god awful, like, get off your ass, that kind of thing. You can see like from like a woman's point of view, kind of crap she has to do on like a in a day in her life, just to get you the eyes into her life. And the father doesn't seem invested at all of what's the surroundings. Doesn't seem like he helps none. He's like he's been sitting on his ass most of the day. And like when she points out like, the son got a D in one of his assignments, and all the dude's so like not involved in any of this stuff. He's like, did you hear he got a D? It's like, good job, buddy, and fist bump. And then, yeah, because the little boy just seems like, he's just chilling most of the time. He's not really like invested in like anything that's going in his own life, and or taking kind of like accountability of his own, his mother's needs, or what he's doing with his own life. But then you got this daughter who's pretty much like so neurotic, and like they really like dress up this girl like to be like not like a nerd or whatever like that, but it's kind of like, just as overworked or just overstressed little girl. It's like, very, we didn't even call it Gen Z. I forget, we lose track after all these naming millennials, Gen X, Gen Z, baby boomer, blah, 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 just whatever. But this girl is like, oh my God, if I don't get like in part of this like extracurricular activity and get on the soccer team, I won't be able to go to college. I'll be dropping out, and I'm gonna be living on the streets. It's like this girl like just needs to take a freaking breath, and she's stressing me out just by all the stress, like, cause like, yeah, like kids get stressed, so, most. When I look at her, like, I see like, a good bulk of kids, like even, a few. When I was growing up, see like, a few kids like that just, stressing out about like every little thing, and, don't know to just relax. And like, of course she makes it on a soccer team after, waiting for this, like, the list to pop up on this, school's website. Even after like, she got in and like, she, of course, is a child, but like she reacts because these are teens, or at least early teens, and it's like every little thing like the mother says always seems like, oh my God, why would you say that? Now I gotta think about this. Oh God, I hate you. It's like, oh wow, it's like kids. But then, things start to go awry when, like, after all that chilled, she go to like, I guess, the study or whatever, and she sees what she assumes her husband just masturbating to porn, and nothing wrong with that. I mean, like, plenty of people who's with, a significant other, and like, yeah, they every once in a while like looking at porn, doesn't mean nothing. But it turns out to be a cam girl going live and carrying on this kind of like thing for like several months. This kind of like, flipping disregard. She kicks the guy out. I mean, like, it's hard to say. It's like she doesn't have the right, because, dude, like, porn is one thing. But you have like a significant repeat thing with a particular live cam girl, for several months. That's an issue. That's like a big issue. And you come to realize that, this guy has been not been doing like a very husbandly or fatherly duties like that. Just heavily relying on the wife to do the bulk of the work. And you hear later she and him, really haven't had like any intimate time with each other, since they got had kids and got married. Like that, of course they was in love with each other, like of course it's high school sweethearts kind of thing, but rarely those things kind of work out. So she goes to like this next PTA thing because like everything's kind of like, well, beforehand the next day everything's really starting to like break down with kids like no one wants like it's like, oh, like as he's trying hard, you can see like he's trying to like give the kids like a trying to be supportive as possible, like trying to be like a parent like of today's standards. Is like trying to do better than like the last generation, trying to be supportive, encouraging, and of course as kids being kids is like, oh God, mom, I don't want to kiss, and I'm like, I don't want to hug in front of God, you're embarrassing me, kind of thing. The dog, it turns out has some kind of like what's the word? Not nearsighted, but it's like vertigo. Dogs have vertigos. You have to carry him all the way home. She's late for work, or for some kind of meeting, and the boss, this little shitwad, giving her, shit over it. Then like Miss PTA Gwendolyn, she came out of freaking nowhere. She's like way on like on the property of the school, handing out like flyers to the next PTA and like to go over the next, turns out to be some kind of bake sale, BS. And then all of a sudden when she's like trying to sip her coffee, and then all of a sudden like oh my God, as he drinks, she spills like all that hot coffee, like, oh my God, it's so hot. That part got the biggest laugh out of me because like because this Christina Applegate, it just shows out of fucking nowhere and starts banging on your door. It scares the shit out of you. Like, what the? Why this white woman is just banging on my doggone window for no goddamn reason? That, oh my God, that got me so much. Oh my God, that's so funny. But then like it's like all this stuff is kept like compounding, and then she gets to the PTA and she's like haggard as fuck, and like, and the PTA ain't about nothing, just over some basic, which could have been a fucking email, to be frank. And like she just like, and then like Amy, this is what I'm missing the beat, just like, are you fucking kidding me? see bust her ass just to make it to this daggone thing, and she, because Gwendolyn make it seem like it's so goddamn important, but it's just basically a dang on bake sale, and the other half is just like her just doing some kind of like lecture, trying to make everything perfect and everything like that. Because Amy, just had it, and she had this big old outburst and everything like that. And then she went to go get hammered at a bar. There where she meets Kiki and Catherine Hahn's character. What's her name? Carla. And I gotta say, because I didn't really I've seen Catherine Hahn bits and pieces here and there from certain stuff, but I really haven't engaged to get like a sense of her acting or comedic chops. Because the first time I actually paid attention was in WandaVision, where she played Agatha Harkness. And I had a good time watching her in that. And so seeing her in this to get like a full scope, I'm like, I love Catherine Hahn. It's like, oh my God, this woman is, just the right amount of raunchiness. Like, she's perfect for raunchy movies. It's just like you see her like making out with like, other moms and having other moms make out with each other in the film. And then you see her doing like, you know, almost as much, if not a little bit more, in like the sequel. But man, Catherine Hahn is just so freaking funny, and talking about her cooch, and like, you know, making, you know, well, it's in the sequel where you're making gingerbread dicks and with like frosting for like you know what's the frosting going to be for, but it's like she is so freaking funny. Like I love Catherine Hahn. She's like next to Mila Kunis, she is like the funniest one here, and man, I couldn't get enough. It was so good. But you know, cause she's like a single mom raising this, like, you know, teenage boy who's pretty much like a dumb as a post. And then Kiki pretty much does. She's a stay-at-home mom, but she's like does even way more than Amy does, because like twin babies and like, you know, two other toddlers. So she got like a thing, like at least 4 kids in the dang house, and a father who works. You know, at least unlike Amy's husband, he actually got a job and doing stuff, but he doesn't want to help out around the house and leaving. You know, like got, you know, crazy kids. You know, throwing, you know, tantrums and like crying half the time, and she's ironing and all of that stuff. And it's like, you know, it gives you like a window to like moms have issues. Not like they have issues. They got like legit problems because they overtaxed with handling. You know, all moms are different, but by and large, they handling so much, and it's like, you know, it doesn't. It gives you a window that they doesn't look like they're being appreciated, or they don't, you know, like significant other don't take a moment to address that. Okay, she needs help. Let, like, you know, like just like a PSA for all you people out there. It'd be nice to every once in a while make sure that you help with some of the cooking. Make sure the house is clean. You know, pick up the groceries. You know, do your own fucking homework. There's like a great scene. Probably one of, it's not even, well, it's kind of funny, but it's like, you know, played to be like, you know, very you know, like sort of serious, you know, as far as like a lesson that Amy teaches her boy, that I thought it was so important, especially for white kids, because we'll get to it, but like, you know, they meet up together, have a drink to unwind, and they go off on like not like a bender, but just blow off steam, and because, you know, they just like, you know, pretty much just exhausted. And, you know, it's just so funny. They just go to this, you know, grocery store and just like mess with stuff and pouring alcohol in jugs of milk and just, you know, just fucking shit up. And it was so doggone funny. But then Amy has a hangover next morning, and then you see like her kids are just waiting at the kitchen table, wondering like, you know, where's mom at? Like, where's breakfast? Blah blah blah. And here come like Amy walking down in her PJs, and you know, and there's like, Mom, where's breakfast? Oh, I didn't make it. What? Well, I decided, because like, you know, after like the, you know, at the bar, and they had this conversation about like, you know, you doing this and the other, and, you know, it's like, it's too much. It's like, just, you know, we always trying to be perfect good moms. Why don't we just be bad moms for once? And that's where the, you know, the twist on the title comes in. It's like, you know, let's just be irresponsible for a day, kind of situation. You know, it's you know, like, because it's too much stress. I just want to chill the heck out. So she comes down and she's like, I'm not making you breakfast. You two are very smart kids. You can go in this, you know, refrigerator and make you something to eat yourself. And then she just, you know, grabs a bowl of nachos she's made when she, you know, got home after, you know, fucking shit up at the grocery store. And like she takes it to the room, and is like, I believe in you guys, you know. And it's like I like that. I really like that because it's like, you know, because these little, I'm not gonna call them little shits, but it's like, you know, these kids, it's like they're at that age where like you don't need mom to fix you breakfast at this point. I mean, every once in a while it'll be nice, sure, if she feels up to it, but she's not obligated to do that at this point in time in your life because they're already in like middle school, like at least I don't know what grade, but let's say it's like bare minimum fourth grade. By that point, you can at least make you some goddamn cereal yourself. Heck, I learned how to make my own cereal when I was like 9 or 10, or at least 8. It was a fair bit young. At least I know how to make myself some cereal, and it took me a while to get oatmeal right, to be frank. But you know, I still knew how to do it. Maybe not a full fledged breakfast like I, you know, eventually learned how to do it in my mid to late teens. But I eventually, you know, because I wanted it, and if I wanted pancakes, I didn't expect my grandparents or my parents to do it for me anymore. And it's like, I want pancakes. There's pancake mix in the cabinet, and it's like, you know, I mean, of course they taught me, but from that point on, you know, if I felt like I wanted pancakes, I knew how to put all together. Which, to let you guys know, became one of my signature things to do when it comes to cooking. I'm not like a expert at cooking, but there's like a few things that I'm like just do a banger job in the kitchen at. You know, breakfast primarily pancakes, burgers, and chili. That's like my like the biggest things that I like know to do, just like muscle memory almost. You know what I mean? I mean, we all got that kind of signature thing in the kitchen that we know how to do. Unless you're one of those people that's really, really sucks at cooking, and there's a fair bit of people out there who are like that. No shame on you. But then she started like, you know, taking her kids to school in the father's red Corvette. I think it's a Corvette, and just like, you know what, I'm gonna take his doggone car. And she started like, you know, the kids are just having a ball, just like, you know, just I don't want to say speeding, but it's like just get like a nice little, you know, ride to the school. I'm surprised no kids is like losing their minds, like, oh my god, you're cool, your car is so cool. You came in there and that you like, if when I was a kid, if somebody come to school being driven to school in a car like that, or any kind of fancy car, they'll be talking to town. I mean, for at least a day. I'm surprised no kids even like, you know, like spoke up or anything. And matter of fact, doesn't these kids have any friends? It's like I'm shocked there's not one friend per child that we see. And then I like this little back and forth between Amy and Gwendolyn when she asks about like the you know, like, are you coming to the PTA? Oh no, I don't think I will. And it's like, and then she gives her kids Arby's. They stop to get Arby's, you know, for their lunches, even though that could have been maybe Arby's, you know, help with the payment of this film, and all these like you know, product placement and what have you. But it's like Arby's. I never had Arby's before, and I think Arby's is, you know, if you like Arby's, good on you. But I don't think that they're very good. It's like just, you know, something that you could have easily like made for yourself. It's like you know, soggy floppy meat. You know, it's like, I don't know. It could have been anything else. Like, maybe they just got tired of McDonald's product placement or something like that, and so they just switched things up with Arby's. They could have gone with anything else, but hell, Wendy's at least. But like Arby's seems like a very low on a totem pole as far as like product placement, fast food. I was like, you got like McDonald's, Wendy's, Starbucks, Burger King, uh, Pizza Hut. You got like a fair bit along White Castles. Like you got a fair bit of like uh, uh, restaurants you can choose from, but you went like very low on the totem pole with Arby's. But anywho, uh, there's another scene where that was speaking on earlier, where it's like the boys want to like, Mom, I need your help. Like, my assignment is due tomorrow, and it's like I need you help. Like, can you do it for me? And she tells like, I'm not doing your homework for you anymore. It's like, what? Why? It's like, because I don't want you being entitled. You don't know what entitled means, do you? And she's like, nah. And it's like, I like the scene because she's put it like, no, talking down to him or like making him feel like shit or anything like that. She looked him straight in the eye, talked to him age appropriately, but not like a child, and it's told him matter of fact, like, look, son, I love you, but entitlement means that you expect the world to give you something without earning it. Like, if I don't have you do your own homework now, eventually you'll grow up to be like a shitty person to everybody around you, especially to any girls you might have an interest in. Grow a soul patch to make yourself look interesting, but you're not going to have anything interesting to say. You expect the world to do all this for you without earning it yourself. And just so like I will be a horrible parent if I don't make sure you just go upstairs and do your own homework. And it's, I kind of abbreviated, but that's pretty much like to that vein. It's like, yes, how many, especially, white shares we know out there probably would have benefited from a conversation like this as a child, to tell your kid not to be an entitled little shit. So when they grow up and go out in society, they have like a better head on their shoulders. And like later on in the end of the film, you see this kid making his own breakfast. He made like some kind of not quesadilla, but it's like some cheese casserole, something like that. And it's like, he started cooking for himself, and it's like like almost 5-star restaurant kind of meals he's making in the house for everybody. And it's like, whoa, look good for you, kid. And like she takes the daughter to like, because like the daughter is like got all these different classes, like Mandarin class, and like okay, it's great to have your kids learn a different language. That's cool. But if you that's why kids get neurotic. You got, especially like kids in like Japan, is like a lot of like kids like just doing almost everything just to excel in almost everything because they put so much pressure on them, and it's like they can't have like, you can't put so much stuff on them. Like it's just like if they want to learn a musical instrument, or at least you try to guide them like, here, try this and that, the other as a kid, whatever tickles your fancy, will nurture it. But like if your kid is not interested in learning a different if a high school has like a curriculum, like in my high school you had 2 options of learning either French or Spanish. I chose Spanish because I want to say it's like the easier language to learn, but it's like out of all the languages, it's one of the easiest. But you just got to keep on doing it to otherwise you'll get rusty. But it's like you trying to like I want to say Amy put it on her, but it's, obviously something like that this kid wants to do is you want to like try to excel at everything so she can get like Ivy League schools and like do all this other stuff. And like, kid, you won't get burned out before you even reach college if you don't chill the F out. You're only in middle school. You're not even high school yet. And it's like they decided to ditch Mandarin class and and it's like a cool parent. It's like she takes their daughter to a spa just to have her kid to just a day to relax, unwind a bit, cool your jets. You'll figure things out later. You don't have to worry about everything you need to do before you're 40 all right now when you're only 12. Relax. And I thought that was so good. And like a lots of parents should do that for their kid every once in a while, just to, you know, have that not only a bonding moment, but also like, you know, keep that, you know, let them be kids and let them have like a just like a random good time. Uh, but then it's also like she kind of blurted it out, but then she had a serious talk about like, you know, uh, her father and her and her father are like, you know, potentially having a divorce, and it's like, you know, it's kind of turns on his head because like you see that in most other movies where it's like, I just want to let you know it's not your fault. Well, I know it's not my fault. Why would it be my fault? Why would you say that? And it's like, I like that turned on his head a bit because like normally you know have kids thinking it is fault in other films, but this is like, you know, subverting expectations. And it's like it's kind of like shows like, you know, parents who trying to say the right things, but it usually falls flat half the time. Even though you really try not to. But the fact that she's trying so hard to make sure that she does the right thing by her kids, to make sure that they don't, because the whole bulk of it is trying to make sure when she had this big old speech at the end of the movie at the PTA meeting, is the fact that, you know, we need to at least, you know, not trying to cram crap into these kids' minds and do all these frivolous activities half the time, but we just need to make sure the ultimate goal is raising good kids. Um, but I also like the fact that, you know, in this movie you see uh, the Amy and the husband actually going to a therapist. You see, like one of the psych says, like the therapist, and as you can see, like, you know, the father doesn't seem like he's not trying at all. He seems like a complete asshat. Uh, Showing these two like just not working out anymore at this point. I think, like, you know, the therapist, you know, Wanda Sykes, and like most of what she's saying is like something like I expect like a therapist to say. But the other things, it's like, because I watched him in the therapy, and like the therapist, you know, on the YouTube video always mentions that, you know, it's rare for a therapist to actually tell what their patients to do something, because like you gotta give them the tools to figure things out for themselves. We don't tell them what to do, except for maybe like very very extreme rare occasions. And like you hear like Wanda Sykes actually echoes that. It's like, you know, normally as a therapist I don't tell you what to do, but it's like, you know, you guys, you know, really like should like get divorced. But it's because basically, yeah, these two is not going to work out. You know, you see them snipe at each other, and obviously he's more in the wrong than she is. But as soon as they walk out of the therapist's office, it's like things calm down. It's like they give each other a hug, they apologize to each other, and they come to an understanding. Like, yeah, we can part as amicably and as friends, and it's like, you know, there's no hard feelings. Normally that's usually not the case realistic wise, but you know, sometimes it does work out that way where it's just part ways like, I'm sorry, let's hug it out. We understand we're not gonna be good for each other, but it's like, well, you know, part as friends and like co-parent and blah blah blah. But then like you see this Gwendolyn sabotaging, because like, you know, she's like completely like I said, antagonistic to Amy, who's just doing her own thing, and she doesn't like her stuff being uprooted, essentially. So she decides to like, uh, you know, hide like, well, oh yeah, yeah, she hide like, joints in the daughter's locker, get her like, kicked out of like soccer, and it's like you see this moment where like Amy just burst in, looked like she was straight up about to kick Gwendolyn's ass, but then she decides, no, I'm gonna run against you, and then so with the help of Carla and Kiki, they start to like uh, pass out flyers and get like other moms on board, and they're supposed to have some kind of like a party slash meeting to like discuss things, but like of course Gwendolyn has like a rival party with Martha Stewart catering and stuff like that, but just most of the time just her there lecturing everybody and everybody just sitting there bored as hell. But then like everybody gets a text to come over to Amy's place, and they have like this big ass party, and like all the moms just like wilding out and just like going nuts, and like everybody's ready to like vote for Amy, until like Gwendolyn just like gone too far and stuff like planting drugs in like Amy's daughter's locker, and the principal is sitting there like, you're not gonna run an investigation, because everybody seemed to be scared of Gwendolyn. It was like like the coach is scared of her, like the principal is scared of her, and it's like, bro, it's like this neurotic little child, you think gonna be smoking weed? If that was the case, she'd be a lot more chill than she is. To be frank, it'd be easier to pin it on the brother than the daughter, giving his vibes he gives off. But like everybody's starting to turn against Amy, especially after Gwendolyn's little subtle little venomous little two-faced talk towards each of these moms, like, have you heard about like Amy's daughter having drugs? I don't want to. It sounds like like I like Amy. I don't want to sound like this and that and the other. But can you really trust someone like that who can't keep tabs on her own daughter like that? It's like it's like, oh my god! It's just like I'm pretty sure plenty of women know bitchy women like that gets on their nerves. It's probably those same kind of women that girls go home to vent to their husbands or wives about. It's like, you wouldn't believe what happened to me at work today. This bitch got the nerve and blah 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 blah. You get those conversations. Gwendolyn is that same kind of woman that they can go home to complain about, in my mind's eye. So things turn for the worse when like the daughter is like angry at the mom, thinking like it's all her fault, because she doesn't know. Because after watching it, it's like kind of really got grind my gears. Like, this little brat. It's like this woman literally took you to the. Now, of course, this is a child we're talking about, because they're not gonna perceive things outside their scope of their world. So they probably don't understand the nuances of what. But you should have saw like your mom just literally, even though you told her like not to embarrass you and stuff like that, but you just literally saw your mom after you found out the coach benched you. You see her like burst into this dude's office to literally yell at him. Like, would you really think that she wouldn't be on your side on this? But she, you got to have that kind of third act confrontation kind of thing. So even the dog, all the kids, both kids and even the dog, all went to go stay with the dad even though dad, and kudos to the dad on this one. It's like, it's like at the beginning he seems like a complete shit stain, but it's like no, he's like he's pretty he's a dad. He's a decent dad. He's not a complete idiot. And it's like he's like I'll handle things. I'll talk with them. Like the hotel guys, like all kinds of stuff. It's pretty cool. It's like I'll talk with them. Like don't worry, I got you on this. And it's like you see him like because any other movie will have him to be a complete asshole. But no, he's like, he's understanding, and he's co-parenting, and he's not, turning against, having the kids turn against her. He's having none of that. It's like, I like that part. That was pretty good. Who directed this movie? I completely forgot who directed this movie. John Lucas. Never heard of him. Oh, he did The Hangover. That's why it feels so familiar. Like he is the director of the Hangover movie. I was like, oh, it's like I used that as an example, and it's like and like lo and behold, it is the same director. That's why it gives me the same vibes. I need to like watch more of his stuff because like, I'm pretty sure they all falls in the same. Drop the top. I'm pretty sure it all falls in the same kind of like aesthetic. But yeah. So it's like you at the point when you see like, because Amy also like losing her job because she took too many times off. But you later on she gets it back and like with better benefits. They realize how much work she and integral to the job as she was that they failed to realize, and things are turning tits up. So Amy's like at home depressed. Well, but thanks to Carla and Kiki's encouragement, they get her to go. They take it to the PTA election thing. And Kiki had like a little arc too, with dealing with like and it's like a funny thing. Carla mentions like, "Geez, Ike Turner." And it's like, yeah, he wasn't beating her or anything like that, but it's like the controlling, husband, and it's like, and he kind of like flipped it, because now he's like a doting husband, kind of like I don't know, pussy whipped a little bit by the end of the movie, but Kiki just pretty much found some courage and told this dude what like I'm out with my friends right now, so why don't you put on your big boy pants and handle this shit yourself. And it's like yeah, hell yeah. It's like, because after he was getting like overwhelmed by the kids and he had to figure shit out on his own without relying so much on the wife to do all this stuff. And Carla obviously has to learn to like, because as she spoke to earlier in the film, it's like she pretty much like let the kid do whatever, or at least she doesn't go to the kid's game, her own son's baseball games, because it's like boring as hell. Well, baseball tends to be boring to people. Like, I'm not going to hold you on that, but it's your son. Not that you're obligated, but it's like it will mean a lot to the kid to know that he can grow up and have kids on his own, and mention how like his mom went to his games, or at least some of his games, and is there cheering for him. And she had an arc where she's pretty much like make sure like, no, I love the hell out of this kid, and like despite like certain shit that I like to do, it's like I gotta put all that aside because this kid means so much that I'm willing to stomach a boring ass baseball game because it means a lot to him. So go to the PTA meeting and like does this rousing speech, where it's like, have all these moms stand up and mention about like certain things that they just want to like skip. They skip like, I let my kid do this. you know, I let my kid do this. I forgot to do this. It's like, moms forget, moms allow, even though cultural standpoints, like, you know, might be frowned upon, but it's like, allow moms to make mistakes. And it's, 9 times out of 10, it doesn't really put a detriment on a kid's life. I mean, when I was a little kid, I remember my first R-rated movie. My father let me watch the first Predator movie, and I was like, what, like around 8-ish, maybe a little bit younger, maybe like a year or two younger. I watched like the first Predator movie. It was on TV. It was on. He was still like watching it with me, but it's like it was an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. I watched plenty of his action movies prior to that, and it's like that and Terminator. It's like it's like he knew like, oh, he can handle this. So it's like when I first saw like the Predator's first kill, I was taken aback, but I was engaged. In hindsight, it probably wouldn't have been a good idea for me at that age to see something like that. But it's like, it's one of those things like, you gotta bend the rules every once in a while when it comes to being a parent. It's like when I have kids, it's like there's certain things like I will let them watch, like a fair bit of Tim Burton films. I think like a Tim Burton films would probably be a good ease. That and maybe like certain Terminator, not like maybe the first two Terminator films, but like certain like Schwarzenegger movies, or something like action pack, or as far as like horror aesthetic. I think like Addams Family, or like some Tim Burton films would be a nice little ease into something that's probably a little bit more intense later down the road. But it's like that's like a baseline in my opinion. But like, of course, I gotta watch these kind of things with the kids, so it's like I can't just do willy nilly. I don't go crazy, but it's like it just depends on like the age group of the kid. It's like I figure like 7 or 8 would be like a decent enough age for them to watch a fair action movies. I think I can go watch them like a 5 or 6. It's fine, but it's like something like, I don't know, Sweeney Todd, or like Sleepy Hollow. I think maybe 10 years old to be like 10 or 11 to be like, yeah, I think I'll watch it with him. And it's like, and I warn him like it's gonna get some intense stuff, and it's gonna be like fake blood and stuff like that. And it's like just be prepared, but I'm here with you, kind of thing. I remember, God, I don't know if it's like the first Addams Family movie or the second one. I think it's the first one. Where like Wednesday and Pugsley are on the school play, and it's like you see them like having like a fake sword fight, and like they set up this like fake blood spurts, and like cutting off each other's arms, and it's like fake dismemberment and stuff like that, and blood gushing out in the middle of the audience. It's like and this blood just all over the place. And like everybody's stunned look, and like the Addams Family parents and the patriarch and like Uncle Fester just like stand up and like, bravo, yes. And it's like, I to this day cracks me the heck up. And it's like, I want my kids to do something. If my kids want to do something like that, I'll be all the hell for it, and I'll be all the more proud. Oh my God, that'd be like so amazing. And it's like, God, that was amazing. Now that is like something like, if a kid can handle something like that, like, can you be surprised how much what kids can handle? But I'll be so proud. But like, yeah, so like, and then there's also this thing with this widower, like this hot Hispanic guy with a daughter who's like, because like Carla and Kiki's trying to get Amy out there, and like because she hadn't been with anybody but her husband since she was 20. So it's funny to see women in this kind of position where they go out to a club and strike out, because usually it's always you see a guy strike out with all these women, and it's like hard enough to go to uh uh them with like trying to come correct, but it's like it's hard to strike up that courage to like go to a pretty woman and just start trying to strike up a conversation without looking like an idiot. But it's fun to see like a woman in that position, and how difficult it is in their point of view. But they end up together, obviously, because he had a thing for her. Uh, so the movie ends with like those arcs wrapped up, and it's nice where it's like Gwendolyn's not a complete jerk, whereas you see Amy seeing her crying in the car, and she goes to Gwendolyn. Gwendolyn apologized and she realized like, I'm sorry about your daughter. What I did, that was too far. That was too much, and I never should have done that. And they kind of sort of reconcile. They kind of like, you see in the sequel, they kind of like Gwendolyn's kind of like the Vegeta to Amy's Goku, if that makes any sense. It's like still some kind of like, funny antagonistic stuff instead of the bitter antagonistic. And you find out like, Gwendolyn did all this stuff because it's like only way she can like vent, and take some because her husband's been like embezzling and stuff like that, and it's like she's tough at home right now, and the only outlet she has is the PTA, where she can get her mind off this stuff, and that's why she's been going so hard with it. But it's like nice to have that, like, no, she's not completely evil. There's like, it's more to Gwendolyn than that. So all that is pretty good. So yeah, I mean, like Bad Moms is definitely like a worth watch, man. It's very, very good. I kind of want to rewatch it. It's like so funny. But yeah, I will take a minute to get set up for my review for the sequel. There's a lot of meat in that to dig into. But leave a comment below. Let me know what you thought about Bad Moms. Well, the good, the bad. Would you ever return to it? But yeah, I will see you guys later. And happy Mother's Day.